Am I clear? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Okay, today we are going to discuss sorry. Today we are going to discuss something very important. Last week we saw how to use the post and how to use the get. So this week we are going to discuss the MySQL and we are going to discuss database and what is it. Is that okay? Again, if you have any questions, just unmute and then ask me the question. Is that okay? So who can tell me what they think a database is?
I think that a database is a system that stores information and can be manipulated and transformed based on user input.
So it stores information and does what?
And can be manipulated and transformed into various forms of information for user to find and identify information.
So as you said, quite marvelously, a database is an organized collection of structured information stored in a computer system. Now, we generally store the information based on various entities. So, for example, employee, faculty, department, student, course. These are all examples of the word entity. Now, these are entities because we can group individuals all into these categories based on certain characteristics or attributes in which all of them share. It's very important for us to note here that before you can be an entity, all the members of that entity must share the same characteristics. What characteristics am I talking about? Here, I'm talking about the employee ID, the name, the salary, the DOB. What kind of entities am I talking about over here? Here, I'm talking about the faculty ID, the faculty name, what kind of information am I talking about here? I'm talking about the department ID, the faculty that it belongs to's ID, so the faculty ID, the name of the department. Of course, the employee will belong to a particular department. So it means that over here, I can say that the employee would belong to a particular department. Over here, I can have the student ID, the student's name, the date of birth of the student's department. Over here, I can have the course ID, the course name, the credits of the course, and the department who offer that course. Each and every single one of these characteristics are shared by all the people who form part of that entity. So I can't come here and say black, because not all my employees may be black. I can rather say complexion or ethnicity or something like that. It must be a characteristic in which all of them share. Are there any questions? So if I have an employee of my organization, one employee who has an ID, a name, a salary, and a date of birth, then I have created a singular entity of the entity group employee. So here, if I have an employee with 001, his name is, let's say, John. His salary is, let's say, 12,000. His date of birth is given as 19/11/222. And then he is and he belongs to the department 001 or department 201. For example, I have just created a singular employee. This person exists. 001 John, he exists. Within the environment I've created here, and then I have a what? Employee. So I give values to the various characteristics in which I have defined. Each one has a various value I can give. Now, the scenarios I've created here, they exist within an environment. So in my environment, in the world I have created, I have employee, faculty, department, student, and course. And for you to be an employee, a faculty, a student, or a course in my environment, you must have the following characteristics. And I am going to call my environment Henry University. The word Henry University, which I've created here, becomes my database. That means that all of these people exist in my database. The entities we have created here become the table of the database. The various characteristics we have defined here become the field names in our database. So in my database, when I refer to the word database, I am talking about an environment. For example, Henry's University. In Henry's University, the tables of that environment would be defined by employee, faculty, department, student, and then course. In my environment, each table would have fields. And in other words, each entity would have characteristics. So there are words which go with each other. I can use either entity or I can use table. I can use attribute, or I can use field. Now, there is something important that we must look at here. In the modern sense of the word, a database is nothing if you do not have relationships among your entities. The people who play a role in your environment should have a relationship in which they dwell upon or use. What is or what are the relationships in which we have in Henry's environment? There is a relationship between an employee and then a department. What's the relationship? The employee belongs to a particular department. There is a relationship between the department and the faculty. There is a relationship between the student and the department, and the student and the course through the department, and a student and an employee through the department, because the student will belong to a particular department which is going to be taught by a particular employee. Your database entities must have relationships among them. If there are no relationships among your entities in your database, you cannot define that as a database. Any questions?
So I have one question. Um, so entities are tables. Does that mean that every time I create a table, I create an entity within that table?
Repeat the first thing you said again.
Uh, I believe that an entity is a table, or is it that
Stop
an
there.
entity?
Stop there.
Oh, okay.
You said that an entity is a table per what you have learned, right? Right?
Yes.
Now, the second thing in which you said, let's go to that side. You said that if you create a table, you have created an entity inside.
Yes, sir.
That's what you said. Don't you think that the statement you just made contradicts the first statement you made? The first statement you made is that the table and entity are the same thing. So if they are the same thing, why am I creating one in the other?
Oh, okay, so because I wanted to know if which one it was. Is it a table or an entity? Is something that it created alone
You can
or
see
separate from
here
it?
that I said that the entity is equal to the table, and then the attributes or characteristics are equal to the field name. So if I was talking to you in terms of database terminology, I would say table or field name. If I was talking to you in terms of design and coding, then I would say entity and characteristic.
Okay, thank
So
you.
they are not different. Now, for me to use my database, I require a database management system. So my entire data will dwell on a database management system. The database management system will provide me the tools that will help me manage my database. The database management system we would be using is my SQL. We have already seen that in order for us to use the MySQL, we had to install XAMPP. And then we start the Apache for our server to be started. And then we start the MySQL for our database to be started too. Now we can go to our browser and type in our browser localhost/php myadmin. 1 second, please. Yeah, hello. So over here, I am in the database management system. On the side here, I can see new here. When I click new here, it presents me with a window for me to create a new database. The problem some students have is that they think that the database is the table. Hence, they will create a database for employee, a database for faculty, a database for department, a database for student, a database for course. No, as I said, the database is the environment in which all of these things would be in. That means all of these things are inside one database. They can't be outside that environment. So my database name is Henry. As you can see, I've chosen to use one word for my database. I can add the uni so that I know that it's for Henry University, but it should be one word. Do not leave space in this. And then click on create. I have created a database called Henry University or for Henry University. You can see that at the top here, I can see the database is Henry Uni. If I open this again, it would open the database management system for me. So you can see that at the top here, I have the server IP address showing for me. If I want Henry Uni again, on the side, I can see it there. I can click on it. And now I am inside the environment for Henry Uni. Are there any questions with this point? Okay, so if I want to create a database, I would open localhost/phpMyAdmin. When it opens up for me, I will click on new, and then I will type in the database name I want. The database name has to be one word, just one word. And then I'll click on create. In my case, I've created Henry Uni, and that's the name of my database. Again, the name of your database is the name of the environment in which your various entities would be working in. Now, I must create my various entities. That is, I must create my various tables. What is the first table name I have? It is employee. So I will type employee here, and then I must type the number of fields in which I want. Over here, my employee table has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. So in here again, I would create, I'll type 5 here and click on create. I have created 5 fields. In here again, I want to create an additional field. So I can just go to the top here where I see add, type in the number of fields I want to add, and click on go. And I can add as many fields in which I want. Over here, the first field is going to be the ID field. I have to tell the computer what type of data I will be storing in this field. As we can see from the previous thing I did, I said that the employee and then the name here and then the salary here, if I give them values, then they become the entity itself. Here is just me giving the framework or the schema of how that entity should exist. So again, the data that will be typed in, what type of data should it be? In this case, I want it to remain as an integer, but I want it to be an auto increment. So you can see AI here, which stands for auto increment. So I will go and tick it. So immediately this here becomes my primary field. The next one is going to be employee ID. The next one in which I'm going to have here is the full name of the employee. The next one I have here is the salary. Is the date of birth. That's the DOB of the employee. Then here I have the salary. Then over here, I have the department in which the employee belongs to's ID. I will add another field, which will tell me the date of employment. And then I'll add another one for status of employee so that I can know if my employee has been suspended or it is still working or he or she is still working for me. Now, I have to go through the data and give the correct data type for the field so that the entries would be in the correct format they are in. For the employee ID, I would use a varchar and make sure it has 15 length. That is, I'm telling the computer to allow variable characters, that is numbers, symbols, digits, anything of that sort, and I just want 15 of them. So 15 things can be typed in this field at a go. Over here, I want the person to type in a varchar again. But this time, I want to use 50 characters. That is, as a Ghanaian, our names are not that long, so I'm assuming that the average Ghanaian name, full name, would be around 50 characters. If it is more, you can choose more. Over here, I have date. So I'll scroll down and look for the date character. Over here, I have salary. So I'll scroll down and look for the float or decimal or double. Any of them would work, but I would choose float. Over here, I would choose the int because the value for the department would be either 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I would use int. Over here for the employee date of employment, I would choose date and time so that I know the date and the time. But for the date of birth, I will not know the time you were born, which does not matter to me that much. So I'll just make that one a date. And for the status, I would be using integers to give the status so it can remain as an int. Now that I have all my fields there, I can save, and you can see now that I have saved an employee. So in my database, I have an entity there called what? Employee. Are there any questions, please? Karen, McCarthy, James, are you all there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, I am done with this. I want to create another entity. So you can see that on the side here, where my cursor is going around, I can see my database name. I can see the first table I have, and I can see new here. Now, when I click this new, since it is inside the database, to provide me with a new template to create a new table. If I don't want to go through that, I can just click on the database name itself. It will bring me to this window. And at the bottom here, I can type in the table name I want. So again, the table name in which I want is the student table. And then I can click here, type in here, and then choose the number of fields I want. And then click on go when I'm done with that. In here, I can specify the number of fields in which I want. So again, I'm going to use ID here and then make sure this is a primary key. And then also I'm going to set it to auto increment. Over here, I have full name. I have DOB. I have phone number. Let me go further and add some more. So let me add 5 more. And then in here, I'll have, what do I even have again? The department. So just the department ID. And then I have the date of admission. Let me do a date add. And then here, I'll just put in the status of my student. So I'll know if he has stopped the school or deferred or whatever, I can know. The reason why I did it plainly was for the other question which will come in here. What do you do if you chose more than you want to do? If you leave them empty, they will not be counted. They will only be counted if you fill the first section here. So you can leave them empty. Over here too, I want my phone number to be a varchar. The phone number is never an int because remember, there is no integer number that starts with a 0. So if you make it an integer, it means that the 0 in our 0, 2, 4, and all of those numbers will be wiped off. So I'll have integer, and I want 10 characters, or I want 15 characters if I have to bring in +233. And then over here, I want to choose date.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir, please, with the telephone number, what about if I choose to use integer? Then I start with +22. Maybe with my telephone number, there's no zero inside. So I use int, then I start with +22, then I continue with the other number.
Okay, so if you are choosing to do that, then hallelujah for you. But there are some countries whose phone numbers do not start with a 0. So if you choose to do that and the person has a 0 in it, it will be wiped off. So your data would be incorrect.
Okay.
Also,
okay.
you want the phone number, how the person says his phone number is. So that once you take it how the person's phone number is, you in the background can kick off the 0 and put +23 there, or +10 or +004, whatever you want to do, you can do it. It is best you take the information in its raw state than you take it in a process state. And then you would have to process later. That is just some piece of advice.
Okay,
So right
sir.
here,
Okay.
I'll have 50 here too. And then here would be an int. This, of course, is going to be a date. And then over here, I have status. Great. Remember, if you choose a varchar, you will have to choose a particular data type of the information. You can't choose a varchar and you will not choose a data type for the piece of information you want. When you are done, you click on what? Save. And your information would be saved inside your database. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
If I want to add information to my database, I can go and click on Insert. And here I can type in the information I want. Over the first one, I said it's going to be an auto increment field, so I can leave that one empty, and the computer would automatically set it and increase it for the next one for me. That is the word we use, auto increment. So it will do its job. For the second one, I will have to type in a name there. So let's say Fred Amo. Over here, I'll choose a particular date of birth for him. Of course, I have a phone number here. Over here, I will choose an ID in which I want. Let's say 001. But here I did it integers, so of course the zeros will go away. So let me see 1. Over here, I need to choose a date he started a job. So let me choose this date. And then his status is going to be 1. Now, when I click go here, beautifully, it is going to write the SQL statement for me. This SQL statement is the way in which the database writes or does what it does. This is the coding language for the database. So everything we're doing, we're clicking and adding things, but in the background, SQL statements were being written for us. So this is the SQL statement for the insertion of data into our database. How can I not go through the insert button, but again attempt to write an insertion code for my database? The first thing I need to do is write the insert keyword. So the keyword here is insert. Next question is into. The next thing I have to do is write the name of my table. So I'll bring my table name. The next thing I need to do is write the various fields that I'm going to fill. So here are the various fields that I am going to what? Fill. Then I'll bring the keyword values. and then into brackets, the data I want to put in those fields. The data I want to put in those fields. Now let's look at this in a practical sense. This is the way it is set up. But let's look at it in the practical sense. So as I said, the keyword insert into, the table name is what's the first table we did? Is it fact? Did we call it employee? Good. Now, the fields I want to insert into, what are those fields? I want to insert into the full name, comma, the DOB. Sorry, let me just check the fields I have here. The columns are here to help me. So I have full name.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
Yes. I seem to have gotten an error.
You seem to have gotten an error in what? What are you doing that you've gotten an error?
When I want to insert, when I want to type, when I want to type in the insert, when I want to insert, I inserted Freddie Amore, and then I gave it his ID, and they gave the ID, I gave the date of birth, I gave the phone number, I gave the department, and then the date of uh, uh,
Share your screen. But the data is
okay,
inserted.
it
So what
seems
the error did you get?
like the the, the error is
Ali, show
it
us the
had
error.
given error, but now I don't. So I I I think the error is gone now. It showed an error, but it's not there anymore.
I hear you. Okay, so if I don't want to use the insert button, then I can type out what I want to insert. As I said, the first parenthesis takes in the values you want to insert. So in my case, or in our case, we want to insert the full name of the employee, that is. We want to insert the DOB of the employee. We want to insert the employees. What do we want to insert? 1 second. We want to insert we've done the DOB. So I think the next one is the department ID. Then the next one is the salary of the employee. Then the next one is the employee status. Are we okay? So these are the things I want to insert. After this, I have to bring the keyword values. So you can see the keyword values. Then after the keyword values, I bring another parenthesis And then in the order of how I have placed them over here, I must place them in that same order in double quotes if it is a string. So here the full name is going to be Fred King. The date of birth is going to be in the format of year, month, and day. So year hyphen month hyphen day. The department in which he's going to be in is 1. There's no need for me to put it in double quotes because the department takes an integer and 1 is an integer. So there's no need for me to put it in double quotes. The salary is also a double. So there'll be no need for me to, I can just type in, let's say 18.12. And it is fine. Also note that if you put it in double quotes, it will not be an error. It will be fine there too. And then the status of the employee is 1. So that is also going to be fine. Now, all of these ones need to go away so that the only thing that I'm going to be querying or asking my database is this. So I am inserting into the table employee, full name, date of birth, that, values of that. Now, if I hit the go button, I should see my data has been inserted into it. It gives me a warning telling me that there are some fields which have been left empty. It's just a warning, and I'm fine with that warning. So when I go and click on the browse button, it will show me my student information here. But what I want to see is my employee to see if it went. So I went and click the employee button. I'm in the employee table. I can see that auto increment sets my ID to 1.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, very, very sorry. The error has come again.
Share your screen.
It says column count does not match value count at row 1.
Continue sharing your screen.
Oh, very sorry. Okay.
Okay. So let's see. Ali, I
Yes,
want
sir.
you to count after the insert into. Count the things there. Count it.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay. Now, count the things in the value side.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ali, you are counting the commas. The commas is what separates them. So count it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good.
Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ali, count it again. The second one.
Oh, okay.
Commas is what separates them. So count it again. Don't correct it. Count it. Count it. Don't correct it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So the computer is telling you that you are telling the computer you want to insert 5 things, but you have presented to it 6 things. So numerically, it does not match. So it is telling you that they don't match. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So you need to make sure that each of the values in the fields section is matched in the value section. It's 1-to-1. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's continue. So we can see that the fields in which I did not add employee ID, I did not add date of employment. So they are 00, and then the employee ID is left 0. But all the other fields in which I added something have values there. That is how I would go and then insert something into my database. How will I then make a correction here? I've made a mistake here. How will I correct it? I will correct it by clicking on edit, and then I can type in the information I want over here. So my employee ID is, let's say, 100001. And then down here, the date, I want to change it to this date, and then the time will be that and time will be that. So that will be set here, and I can click on what? Go. So now we can see there are values here and here. But how can I change this without clicking on edit? What SQL statement will I type to change this? I will type, so I'll click on SQL here, and I will click on update here, and I will type the update word to make changes to the database. So what will I type? I will type update, and then I will type the name of the table I want to update. In this case, I want to update the employee table. Then I need to tell it what I am updating. So it should set the employee ID to 20001. So I am changing the information in employee ID to 20001. Remember, the employee ID field is a varchar. So if I don't put it in double quotes, it will give me an error because I am putting in incorrect information. Now in here, I need to tell the computer where it should go and insert the data at. And I want it to insert the data where the ID field is equal to 1. Please lend me your ear here. In this side of the database, there is nothing like undo. There's nothing like I've made a mistake. And there is nothing like, oh, is there a recycle bin to go back? Any change you make here affects everything. Now, if I do not bring this where statement, it means that the computer is going to the employee table, and everywhere it sees employee ID, it will turn it into this. What this does, or by me adding the where, I'm telling it that it should go and look specifically where ID is equal to what? 1, and make that change over there. So again, if I go and click on the go button over here, I should see my table has been updated. And if I go and click my employee table, I should see that the information I have under employee is no more 1, but is now what? 2. So again, I can edit it by typing in update or clicking on edit. Note that all the codes we'll be writing, we'll be typing in the SQL statements. To be honest, we will not be dwelling here that much. We'll be going to our VS Code. And as we all know, the VS Code, there's nothing for us to click there. So we must learn the SQL statements that are involved. The final important thing, or the next important thing for us, is the delete. If I want to delete something, of course, it's obvious. I can click here, but what SQL statement will I type to delete? I'll click on SQL here again. And for me to delete something, I need to type in the keyword delete from also a keyword, and then the name of the table I want to delete something from. If I just send this statement, it's a problem because I'm deleting that entire table's content. So the keyword where will come here, and I can specify where I want to delete the information from. In my case, I want to delete the information where ID is equal to 1. And the name of the table I want to delete my information is the employee table. So again, I'll remove what is at the top because I don't need it. So the computer will go to delete from the employee table where the ID is equal to 1. So if I run this statement, go, yes, you realize the statement has gone. If I browse again, you can see that I have no data in my employee table. That piece of information is what? Gone. Again, there is no recycle bin for you to go and retrieve the information. All the information is gone. There's no getting it back. There's nothing like that. So if you are in the professional setting, before you write an SQL statement, make sure it is correct. There is no room for it being wrong or anything like that. Are we clear on that?
Yes, sir. Oh,
It's very important. Again, we are in the dwellings whereby the level of mistakes you make should be 0 or none. So within this short time, we've learned how to insert, we've learned how to delete, and we've learned how to update. Now we must learn how to select. If I want to pick a piece of information from my database, how will I do it? So again, I'll come here. In our employee table, we don't have any data there, but in our student table, we do. So I would retype the information we need. That is, I need the keyword select. Then I need to tell the computer what it is going to select. If I want it to select the entire row, then I will type the star button, which stands for all. So if this was English, I'm telling the computer, select all from the student table, and then I can click on what? Go. So this piece of information means that the computer will go and bring to me every piece of information I have in the student table. Just so that we can see how this works, I'm going to insert using this. And here, I'll type in some names again. So here, I'm going to type in Gray Mensa. Choose a date of birth for Gray Mensa. And then I'm also going to choose a phone number for Gray Mensa. I'll choose a department to be 1. I'll give her a date, and I'll set her status to 1. Over here, I'm going to set another name. I'm going to call this name Danso James. And here, I'll set the date for the Danso James. Also, a date in the 2001s. Over here, I'll set the phone number for Danso James. Set here to 1, set here to a particular date. And then here, I'll set the status to 1 and press go. So now, since my information went, when I come to browse, I should have 3 things there. Using the same select, I can tell the computer, select everything from students, or I can be specific and tell the computer to select only the full names, for example. So, and then the phone numbers. So full name and phone. And then when I click go, the computer should present me with a list that has only full numbers, full names and phone numbers like this for me to use to process or do whatever I want. I can also tell the computer to select a particular thing for me. For example, I want you to select let me change this status to 0. So I want the computer to select all from students where the status of the student is equal to 1. So now I should see only 2 things being selected for me. I can tell the computer only to select students of 0, 2 for me. So they will select that. I can also tell the computer to select where the status is 1, but the date of birth should be equal to that. So I can start tweaking how my selections are going to be. This is where the power of the database is, whereby I can use relationships to select things across the board. Of course, we will do this, but for today, our main aim was for us to understand what the database is, what an SQL statement is, how it looks like, how we can create a database in our MySQL. After we create a database in our MySQL, how we can create a table. After we create a table, how we can create the various fields and then add their various data types and so on. That was the aim for today. Next week, when we come, we are going to take the SQL statements and then refine them and learn how we can manipulate them across multiple tables to get the information and data we require. Then and only then can we go back to our PHP and combine our PHP and MySQL to develop applications that would insert data into our database from an online form and then manipulate it from an online form. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
As always, when the class ends, I would send you the recording of this class for you people to use and practice. I will also be sending you a video that has the creation of a registration form. What that video does is that it uses POST to collect the information, and it uses the MySQL statements to put that information into a particular database. So you can watch that now. When we come next week, that's what we will do. But this will allow you to learn ahead so that when we come, you'll be prepared and better suited for the class. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank
One,
you.
one,
Yes,
one
sir.
question, sir.
Sure.
You had given us an assignment. I don't know if you are wanting to see it today, or should we maybe present it at a later time?
I will take them. I'll take them next week. What will happen
Okay,
next
so
week is that you guys will present them before the class starts. I'm assuming most of you did not finish because of work commitments and stuff. So I want you guys to finish up, then we would do it together as a group next week. But each person here would on their recordings and present what they have.
okay, thank you.
Thank you all a lot. Thank you for coming. Please remember to practice what we've done, and we'll meet again next week.
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.